Good afternoon and welcome to our fall quarterly webinar. We're so excited to have you guys today. My name is Trisha Stetzel, co-owner of Results Extreme Business Solutions, and my partner in crime coming all the way from Bangalore. Dennis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. It's Dennis Stetzel, co-owner of Results Extreme Business Solutions, coming to you, as Trisha said, from Bangalore, India.
Wow, you sound sleepy. What time is it there?
It is 3 o'clock a.m.
3 a.m. You got up to do
3
this
a.m.
webinar with me at 3 a.m. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's actually the quietest time in Bangalore. Otherwise, you might be hearing some honking and outside. This is prime time for getting things done in India.
I love it. Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you have joined us this afternoon or this morning, depending on what time zone you may be in. This quarter, we're talking about your personal strategic plan. Do you have one? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to rethink what you already have in place. So we're going to talk about today the 8 foundational questions you should be asking yourself as you build that strategic plan. Dennis, you ready to go?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
All right. So if you've worked with us very long or seen other things, we love triangles because you always have to build a foundation. And that's to say, that's how this particular webinar and this structure is going to move. We're going to build from foundational all the way up to the top of the pyramid. And foundationally, right, we start with values. What do we believe in? That is core. That's at the bottom of the pyramid. And for those who have joined this webinar, viewing this webinar, and you look at it and you say, okay, I'm going to turn this off because this sounds really soft and this is all about values. I thought I was going to build a plan. Why are we starting with values and what do we believe in? So Trisha, do you want to talk a little bit about the values piece, since it's soft and squishy?
Warm and fuzzy.
Warm
Yes,
and fuzzy.
of course I can do that. And, really it's about building clarity into your plan. And if we don't start with a foundation, then that triangle will crack, right? This beautiful pyramid that we're looking at here. So all of the questions that we're talking about today are going to help bring clarity to you and hopefully into your business as well, because it starts with you. And those values, the virtuals, the qualities and traits that are most important to you translate into your business. So going through the exercise of understanding and knowing what your true values are will help you articulate the rest of the answers to these 8 foundational questions as they come up. And by the way, we do have a bonus for you at the end. We've got some worksheets that you can use to identify some of these values that are important to you.
Great. So we start with what we believe in, our values, which brings us to our vision, which is, what do we want to be? What do we want to be in the future? It's not, and that's our own definition, right? If we're talking about a personal strategic plan. So what do we want to be? What do we believe in? What do we want to be? What's that vision for the future? And this is long-term. This is something that you need to envision yourself being far into the future, not tomorrow, not next week, not necessarily next month or even 6 months from now, but it's that longer term vision that takes you from where you are today and visualizing where you want to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years. That kind of opens up that clarifying window and starts to get the creative juices flowing and connecting those brain synapses that start to tell you your next answer to the next question, which is?
Well, could I add something? Would that be okay with you?
Sure.
In the area of vision. So just think about this, right? I want to add something warm and fuzzy, if that's okay with you. Think about this question. If your business and career were perfect 5 years from today, what would it be like? That's your vision, right? It's for you and your business.
Which then leads to the mission, which is, what do we do and for whom, right? So what do we believe in? What do we want to be in 5 years? And then what is it that we do? A lot of people jump right to the mission statement or jump right to what it is we do without clarity on where we want to be in 5 years and what we believe in. And in creating a personal strategic plan, this is something that you live with, right? This is something that you personally need to accomplish. This is something that you personally are pursuing. And so if you start with, well, what is it that I do and for whom, without a whole lot of clarity around where you want to be in 5 years and what you believe in, it's an incomplete picture. You have to understand who you want to work with and what you do for them.
Yeah, and
Make
your
sense?
mission really specifically drives how you achieve your vision, right? So you build that mission on how are you going to achieve that vision. So Dennis, there's a question in the chat about small businesses. Do they really need to have this mission statement? What are your thoughts around that?
I think absolutely you do have to have that mission statement. You can't be everything to everyone. And regardless of whether you're in a construction business that's local and serves a local community, or you're in a counseling agency, or a doctor, an attorney, it really doesn't matter. If you're not clear on what you do and who you do it for, then your marketing message. So if we remember, this is a personal strategic plan, but the business plan that maps to marketing, who am I going to speak to? Well, your marketing efforts are going to be largely ineffective because you're trying to be everything to everyone, or that message is going to the wrong audience. So in order to get very targeted and really get your message to the people who it resonates with most, you got to know who you're talking to, and you got to know what you do for them, and you have to speak to them as a person. Remember, you don't, as business owners or even as people, you don't go sell who you are. People buy who you are. You don't go sell your product or service. People buy it. And in order for people to make that buying decision, you have to be speaking to them. So who is that? And that's what that mission really speaks to. Then we have our purpose. Why do we exist? Why are we here? What's our superpower? In alignment with our values, our vision, our mission, what is our ultimate goal? Why do we exist? Are we here to change the world through education? Are we here to build a better community through quality construction? Are we here to help people turn the corner in their lives through counseling and mediation? What is that? Why do we exist? And then, again, in alignment with your mission, vision, values, it starts to create and starts to refine where you're headed and what that personal strategic plan, the answers that strategic plan needs, the answers that strategic plan needs to ultimately speak to.
Is that the 3 a.m. Bangalore?
That's the 3 a.m. thing, but
looking for the file in the brain.
Well, and the why do we exist, right? And I think this speaks to the difference sort of between you and I. The differences in behavior styles and personalities, you're seeing it right here. Like, this is where I start to get energized, is now that those questions, this is the hardest part for me. If you try to drag me through values, vision, mission, purpose, I'm not necessarily going to tune out, but I'm not going to be as engaged because I want to jump right into the plan. I want to know what are those tangible things that I do. But these are important. If we jump right into, let's say, the next step in the 8 strategic questions, or the next question is now goals, right? So for me, it becomes more tangible. But if I jump right into the goals and say, what is it that I'm going to achieve, without clarity around mission, vision, purpose, values, again, it's an incomplete picture. And so although those, the questions lower in the pyramid may not energize me, it may not wake me up and change my voice at 3 a.m. Now we start to talk about goals. What is it that we're going to achieve? What are we going to accomplish? And that's really next, right? What are our goals? What do we aim to achieve? How does that align with our purpose and why we exist? How does that accomplish our mission and help us accomplish our mission, what we do and who we do it for? And what do we want to be in 5 years? In alignment
Yeah.
again with what we believe in.
And although difficult for you, Dennis, don't you find that going through the exercise of finding those values that mean the most to you, creating that vision, that mission, and digging into your purpose really help build your goals?
Absolutely. And, this is where I get a little witchcrafty, right? It's life-changing. It can be very life-changing. And for someone who doesn't typically resonate or gravitate toward some of the statements or some of the activities lower in the pyramid, when you have someone walk you through that and really force your brain and ask you leading questions and open-ended questions to get you to the point where you can actually articulate your values, articulate your vision. If your brain isn't necessarily wired that way and someone helps you get there, it can be very life-changing. And you had mentioned the word clarity. It comes and then it sticks with you. And the rest of the pyramid becomes very, very, a lot easier to close out on and be real specific about.
So when we're looking at, there's a question in the chat window around goals, and because we're talking about personal strategic plan and kind of overlaps with business, so when we're talking about goals and the things we want to achieve, is it business related or personal?
Well, remember the genesis or the opening of this webinar was, when you find yourself in a position where you're not achieving your goals, or when you find yourself in a position where you're not making the progress that you want to make, these are the 8 foundational questions. So I think it really depends on what question are you looking to answer. Is it you're not making the progress that you feel like you need to make in your business? Then yes, you're answering it for your business. Is it I'm not making the kind of progress, or I'm not seeing the kind of results in my personal relationships? Well, then that's what this exercise is intended to do. But if you've heard us talk before, they're all interconnected. We are our business as entrepreneurs, especially small business. All of those things are interrelated. They're not mutually exclusive. They don't exist on their own. And so, the balance that we achieve between business success, financial success, family and relationships, health and fitness, those 4 areas, they need to be in balance. And oftentimes they do get out of balance, but you may be answering a question around goals around health and fitness because you're just not feeling right. You're not able to, because of the way you feel, you're not able to achieve the financial independence you're looking for, or you're not able to achieve the goals or treat your business or spend time in your business the way you want to, or you just may not be as attentive as you need to be in family and relationships. So it changes, it depends, but you go and you look for, that goal that's going to get you past that hurdle. And it could be in any one of those areas, but they're all interrelated. You can't do one without the other.
Absolutely. And I saw something earlier today, the law of correspondence. I know you're going to love me for this one. So the law of correspondence says that our outer world will always be a reflection of your inner world. And to change anything in your outer world, you must begin by changing what's going on in your inner world. And the greater clarity you have with regard to who you are, what you want, and what you have to do to get there, the faster you will progress. So a little more fuzzy, warm fuzzy, right? Change the way you are reflecting on yourself inwardly, and outwardly you will see the changes as well.
Completely
All right,
agree.
What's next?
Next is knowledge and skills, right? So what is missing for me to be number one, or for me to achieve, that top tier status? What are the knowledge and skills? And that may not necessarily be you personally. It doesn't mean that you have to go back to university and get your MBA. It may mean that, now that I've looked at my goals, I've looked at my purpose, my mission, my vision, and I've found the gap, and I really need a little bit more, or maybe a lot more, business acumen or business knowledge or accounting knowledge. That's fine. Doesn't mean that, to be number one, you have to go back to school. What it means is you need to go find somebody who's going to put you in that position to be number one. And I say number one because to aim any lower, you're selling yourself short. If you want to get from point A to point B, You have to focus on being number one. That doesn't mean that you have to achieve the number one status, but don't aim for 80%, because if you aim for 80% and achieve 60%, not only is it internally demoralizing, but it really doesn't, you're selling yourself short. You're selling your personal strategic plan short of making the kind of progress that you can make, right? There's a concept called, OKRs, which is kind of that moonshot. What can I do in the next 90 days that sounds completely unrealistic? Maybe I want to turn my hold time, my wait time for my customers from my average of 24 days. I want to make it 5 days. So in the next 3 months, I'm going to go from 24 to 5. Well, that might sound impossible, but no one else in my industry, no one else in the local community, they all have an average of 7 days. I want mine to be 5. I want to walk into a networking event. I want to walk into the next presentation. I want to walk into my next customer and say, I can turn this around better than anyone else here locally. I'm 5 days. You can't find anyone less than that, 7 days. Maybe you get there, maybe you don't. But if you aim for that 5, you're going to find that those things that you would need to do in terms of knowledge and skills with that as a goal, you're going to get there much quicker, and you're going to find those breakthroughs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm thinking, as you're talking through that, I'm thinking about the people that you surround yourself with. I always love to talk about who's in your room. And those knowledge and skills can also come from being stretched by those that are your peers, right? The people that you're hanging around with, the people that are bigger, better, faster, stronger than you. Run in those inner circles, and that knowledge and skill will also come, right? Depending on who you're hanging around with.
Yeah, and you brought a thought forward to knowledge and skills, and you said, who are you surrounding yourself with? Can that be in the same industry?
Well, yeah.
So why would I? So if I'm in, I think for whatever reason, maybe because I'm in Bangalore and there's a whole lot of construction going on. What if I'm in construction? What if I'm in construction and I want to be number one? Should I go and talk to people who are potentially in the same industry, in the same business, and surround myself? Or should I isolate myself so that, I'm not giving my competition some insight into how I do business?
Yeah, well, we live in a world of abundance, right?
That's right.
And I think that hanging around with people that are bigger, best, better, faster, stronger than you, even in your industry, can improve your own performance tenfold. That's what I love to have an accountability partner in my industry and outside of my industry, because I think that stretches you even further, right? So heck yeah, if you're in the construction business and you want to be the best, go talk to the guy who is the best, or the gal that is the best in that industry. Find out what they do.
And it's energizing, and you can probably tell that I'm waking up a little bit, because this is where the rubber starts to hit the road for me, right? And the brain synapses start to connect, where, gosh, if I go and I engage with someone else in my industry, and they're willing to talk to me, and they're willing to work with me, and they're willing to be in my circle of 5 in that context, then they also live in a world of abundance, don't they? They don't see me as competition, do they? They have a unique purpose. They have a unique mission. They have a unique vision. They know where they're going, and they know what they believe in. And so they don't have to isolate themselves. They can include me as part of their circle, because what they see in me is not their superpower. It's not what they are focused on. And they'll help me close the gap, because they're not trying to be everything to everyone. They might hand business off to you because maybe the specialty is not theirs. And so finding those people to surround yourself with, whether they're in your industry or not, is really, really important, really important. And so I would say, a piece of advice or a piece of coaching, don't isolate yourself from people who are in the same industry. Embrace the same industry. It's really powerful to surround yourself with people who have the clarity in their personal strategic plan and their vision, not only in their business, but themselves.
Absolutely, which goes all the way back down to the foundation of values, right? And I know one of my values is around living in that world of abundance and sharing knowledge and being profitable with others, right? So it matters. All of these foundational questions absolutely matter. So what's next?
What's next is a strategy. So writing down that plan to accomplish the goal, whatever that goal is. So if you want to be healthier and you need to close the gap on what does it take to be healthy, and you go and you achieve those, that knowledge and those skills, either through a health coach or a fitness coach or through a gym membership or maybe some online reading, whatever that is, then put that down in a plan. Does that mean that I'm going to get up at 4:30 a.m. and do a series of workouts? Does it mean that I'm going to start walking every day? But writing down that plan, what is it going to take for you to accomplish that goal, in view of your mission, vision, value, and purpose, all in alignment there, with an effort, with a focus on being number one, and surrounding yourself with the knowledge and the skills that it would take to be number one. Health and fitness is a great example where how many of us are fitness professionals? How many of us are health professionals? I think this is the reason that, some of your webinars and some of the work that you do, Tricia, is so powerful to people, because you're not a fitness or a health professional. You're very interested in it. You went and you got your certification, but that's not necessarily your superpower, but it's important. So you partner with other people in order to achieve those goals, in order to help people achieve those goals, right? And so it's building that plan, that complete plan that speaks to every corner of a balanced, healthy business and a balanced, healthy person.
Yeah, I like that. All right, in the chat, someone's asking about your favorite methodology for goal writing.
So goal writing is essentially the GOSPA method. I mean, so you've heard, it really depends on where you are. So if you haven't established goals, writing down SMART goals, simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. That's a great framework for writing the goal. Once you have that in place, though, GOSPA, which is another acronym, you take that goal and you walk it down a series of questions or an activity around what are the objectives associated with that goal? Why, do you need to accomplish that goal? Then building a strategy to achieve the objectives that achieves the goal, then a plan, then all the activities and all the actions. And that's a webinar and a series of activities in and of itself. But the acronyms that you can maybe Google and take a look at if you want a little jump start and some insight, SMART goals and the GOSPA method. And of course, if you want to unpack that a little bit more individually, just jump onto either one of our calendars and let's have a chat about it.
And that leads right into actions.
Right into the action. So what are my new habits and new daily activities that I need to incorporate in order to achieve those goals or make the change? There it is. Yeah.
Good book.
And remember, we started this off, and this webinar was, what do you do when you figure out that you're not making the progress that you needed to make, or you're not achieving the goals that you set out to achieve? Well, you got to change what you're doing. You have to adjust those habits. You need to adjust those daily activities. It's the actions that achieve the results. And so something needs to be done differently. And so, if you, between the two of us, if you were to ask me in a moment of weakness, so where do we start? So let's start with actions, because that's where my brain gravitates toward. Let's jump right into actions. And then I'd quickly change course and say, well, we need to start with values. And, what is it? Who do you want to be? What do you believe in? What do you want to do? And who do you want to do it for? And why do you exist? Because if those are incongruent and you just put a set of actions, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z on a daily basis, it's only going to last for a short period of time, and it's not sustainable unless you go through this process of asking and consciously answering all of these questions. And it's going to be much more powerful. Driving a new habit and changing daily activities is going to be far more sustainable and going to be far more palatable if it's in alignment with everything, those foundational elements that are at the bottom.
All right, I have one more tidbit to share before we close today. We've got about 5 minutes left. So the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. The better questions you ask yourself, the better answers you will elicit. And as you improve the quality of your thinking, the quality of everything that you do improves at the same time. Since there's really no limit to how much you can improve the quality of your thinking, there's no real limit to how much you can improve your life. Meaning, all of these things that you may do building your personal strategic plan will apply to your business or even leadership in a corporation. So as you go through this exercise, it's important for you to know that the two come together, right? And it all starts with values. All right, Dennis and I have a small gift for you. If you want to click on the QR code on the left-hand side next to the other pyramid, because we like triangles, you will be taken to a PDF file that has a document where you can put your values together, your vision together, and your mission together. And there are also a lot of examples of the values that a lot of people use. You can obviously take ones that aren't on that list, but that document is for you to keep and do this exercise with. And then you are also welcome to come and do our your business growth score. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes, answer some questions. You'll get back a really nice comprehensive assessment of a score in each of these 5 areas: clarity, effectiveness, growth, sales, and leadership. And if you'd like a follow-up phone call, Dennis and I can do that with you as well. Dennis, thank you for being up at 3 a.m. in Bangalore.
Absolutely, my pleasure. These are fun.
And you wouldn't miss it. Yes, thank you for everyone who joined us today. We appreciate your time. We hope that you enjoyed yet another episode of Team Stetzel, presenting some valuable topics to you, for you and your business. If you have any questions, I will make sure that our contact information is in the follow-up email that you'll receive for joining us today. And as always, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks, you.
Everyone. Good night.
Is it still recording? It is.